Hey guys, you're listening to the Energy of the Untamed Heart podcast, where we talk about uncaging your divinely gifted wild heart to be as free and expansive as you were born to be. My goal is to use our stories, guest interviews, and your questions to tease out what has been keeping your wild heart under wraps. I'm your host, Mielle Fox, and together we will shatter the myths of our old stories to set our wild heart free. So thanks for choosing you and showing up today. Here we are in Northern Vermont, coming to you with a new episode of Energy of the Untamed Heart. My guest this morning is the lovely Carla Unger from Canada. My dear sweet friend Carla, she is a diverse and creative being, bringing her years of talent to developing beauty in all the spaces and places. She started her career over 30 years ago as a hairstylist and colorist, and is the founder of InBloom Beauty Company. Her mission statement through InBloom is to honor the beauty of becoming from a 360-degree perspective of beauty, body, mind, and spirit. She's a personal growth coach, a certified whole wellness coach, and a certified EFT practitioner. I'll leave you all the links where you can find Carla at the end of the show, but in the meantime, let's get into it. Today, we're going to really jump right in and talk about a lot of self-love, self-care, how we find our inner beauty, our in bloom within ourselves. And she's just going to tell us a lot of ahas. So let's take it away. Carla, my love, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you, of course. My sweet Mielle.
Sweet. She says that vernacularly, my sweet Mielle. Carla and I have known each other for several years now. We met each other through our tapping training. Carla also uses EFT in her coaching practice, along as being a whole wellness coach. And she's had a bit of a bumpy journey. And I said, oh, Carla, would you mind coming on and kind of chat about your bumpy journey? Because I think there's going to be folks that will really resonate with where you believe you're going and leading with your heart that sometimes kicks you in the bum, and how you've come to realize that leading with your heart from your heart and leading with your heart from some self-imposed pattern or thought is very, very different. So if you don't mind, I think that's a great place to start. And if you would like to, yeah. So give us a little backstory. Yeah. Tell us kind of like, where were you? Where are you? What's going on?
I am currently in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, which is like a mouthful in itself. I love to call myself an advocate, a wellness advocate in dealing with all things body, mind, and heart. So primarily, and I love dealing with all things beautiful, which is people. I love people, and I love the beauty of watching people grow within themselves. I'm a hairstylist, so I also love to physically make people beautiful. And sometimes those emotions that come out of the chair, and just seeing how happy someone is just from having their hair done and knowing that they're going to have the best day ever is exactly why I do what I do. But I'm also a personal growth coach, as you said, a whole wellness coach, and I'm an EFT practitioner. So my goal in my business, which is called InBloom Beauty Company, is to help women specifically be brave in finding their voice by supporting them to love themselves with the ruthless, I can't even speak this morning, the ruthless compassion they deserve. And ruthless compassion is a big, big, big word for me and the business that I'm doing, without that external judgment within ourselves and what we feel like we receive from the outside. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that are resonating with that. And the goal is to, yes, exactly, be able to become whole again with healing and be the person that we're supposed to be. So that has been the result of the bumpy journey that got me here, which you have been a witness to for the last 6 years.
It's never a straight line. It's never a straight line.
Oh,
no.
There's curves, there's detours, there's falling right off the friggin', can I say the F word?
You can say whatever you want, right? There's potholes, all of it. speed
Yeah.
bumps. Yeah. Hairpin turns.
Yeah.
All of it. All of
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, here we are. Here we are being able to tell our story, and actually my voice has been probably the biggest part of the journey, with not being able to feel like I was in an environment that allowed me to do that. I mean, within the chair and behind the chair, you become that person for the person that's sitting in that position. You have permission to touch them. I mean, you get that. You're a dentist. You have permission to touch them without them even realizing that that is a thing. And so being able to invest in other people the way I'm able to do that from behind the chair is pretty much what got me started on this road, because of that realization that just doing hair, I'm not just a hairstylist. I used to say that a lot. I used to have a little bit of shame, like, I didn't go to university. I'm just a hairstylist. I'm just a hairstylist. And now understanding that I have the opportunity and the honor to be able to invest in other people, partly because they can't actually leave the chair for a couple hours. So they don't really have a choice in the matter.
But think about
But
this,
being able to have
Carla.
that
So people come to you. You don't necessarily go banging on someone's door and say, "Here, I'm here to help you." They come to you, and what is so interesting is there's sort of this inside running story of hair clients and hairstylists, that it's literally like going to your own one-on-one therapy session, because your hairstylist knows all kinds of things about you that maybe nobody else knows. And when you're there having your hair done, honestly, it's like a window of nurturing, love. It's self-care, but it's also your care. Somebody is gently and kindly massaging your brain box. Hallelujah. They're doing something that, even though you do it probably every day yourself in the shower or the tub, it is not the same. I'm sorry. I can ask any of our female listeners, is it the same to wash your own hair or to go to the stylist and have them do your hair? It's totally not the same. For some reason, there is a whole energetic exchange that occurs between your stylist provider person and you as the client. So when you say just a stylist, I'm like, oh, hell no, girl, own that. I am your personal stylist slash aligned wellness therapist. I mean, honest to God, if there was enough letters to put on a banner, that's what it should say, because that's the truth. It is the truth.
You are correct. You are correct. And I've never had the opportunity to get my own hair done, because as a stylist, you're just like, oh, quick, color my own hair or cut my own hair. And recently my girlfriends and we just spent an evening. I do their hair, they put my color on. And the first time that my friend washed my hair, I literally wept for that exact reason that you are saying. Just to have someone else care for you in that manner. And it was very eye-opening for me moving forward, even to my next day when I had my own clients, and I was able to remember, right, this is their time of feeling safe. This is an opportunity and a space for them to be who they are. They don't have to worry about, like I said, outside judgments, everything happening in their family life or their business or their work. They can just be, and they can be cared for in that moment. So
That's
it did
huge.
change again. Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very, very huge. Yeah. I absolutely think it's, and what I love is you naturally have a sense of personal beauty, both in interior beauty and exterior beauty through your businesses. For people who don't know, but I'm going to share, I'll spill a little bit of your beans. In numerology land, you are a ruling number 6, which is all about bringing love into the world, sharing love into the world. And so one of the big reasons I really was excited to have you come on the podcast, because as you know, I strongly feel that we are all essences of love from source, universe, God. And we have spent our lifetime covering up the beautiful light that we all naturally have, and we've sort of buried it a little bit through programming, conditioning, thoughts, beliefs, expectations, judgments, all the list of things. And part of what I really like to share and bring awareness to for the listeners is, just as you made choices to bury that piece of your heart for your own self-preservation, you now as an adult have a choice to unbury that and take the key to your heart that has been sitting in your body your entire life and use it and really listen to
Yeah.
it. And so,
Yeah.
for lots of reasons, you are absolutely the epitome of love, kindness, that motherly nurturing concept of giving to another for the purity of giving to another.
Mm.
And my guess is there was probably a pivotal moment, a feeling, an event, a something that was sort of your, oh, uh-huh. Okay. So things have not really been working so great for me. I'm pretty sure there's some other way this could go. Now what?
Mm. Thank you for those kind words, by the way. It kind of brought a tear to my eye.
You're welcome. I wish we had
Yeah,
like
you could
virtual Kleenex because I would hand you one.
I've got one here. I
Okay.
was prepared. I was
Okay.
prepared this morning. Yeah, alongside being a six, there's that a little bit of idealism that, everything is supposed to be what it is. And I want everything to be perfect and idealistic. I guess that's the only word I can use. And so big turning points can look like a lot of things, series of small little events that all of a sudden the same lesson being learned over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden that aha moment comes, or it can come from something big and monumental that kind of shakes you to the core. And I think I'm a perfect combination of both. I'm one of those people, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners will resonate. Like, it takes sometimes a little bit of a few little same lessons for me to kind of click in. I have more of that intuitive brain where it's like, oh, that's what this all means. The same thing repeating itself over and over and over again until it finally sinks in. But definitely there was a pivotal moment in my own life where I ended up leaving my marriage of 28 years. And oof, I mean, as you all know, it's so easy to take on responsibility from other people's stuff. And recognizing your own pain and hurt and having the ability to sit in it is extremely difficult. It's uncomfortable. It feels gross. You feel like you actually at some points aren't going to make it. And one of the lessons that I did learn is I can do that hard thing. I can sit in those hard feelings. I can sit in those hard experiences and know that out on the other side, I have two choices. I'll either drown in it and die from it, or I can choose to learn from it and share my story and be that better version, that 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. I don't even know what point oh I'm on right now because it has just been a continuous expansion of who I'm becoming. So there's that.
So there's that. But here's what I honor in there's that. And you summarized, I love how you summarized like 3 or 4 years of us getting together and tapping over things in like 3 sentences. I'm like, damn, she good. So here's what I honor in that is you're saying very clearly, I learned that I was taking on things that were not mine to take on. What a
Yeah.
huge effing awareness that is. And
Yeah.
in the awareness that I'm taking on things that are not for me to take on, can I see that and grace myself and say, oh, I just didn't realize it at the time. That's not the end of the world. It's okay. Versus the inner critic beating yourself up because I should have known how could I have done better? What was wrong with this? What's wrong with me? How come I wasn't this? How come I wasn't that? And so in your story, you absolutely describe what I think many of us, including myself, I absolutely was a people pleaser, an enabler, a codependent relationship engager, all the things. And the
Yep.
lessons are difficult and they're rocky and they're hard. And what you describe is you could either learn from it and do something different, or you can let it drown you, literally. Again, what I hear you saying is this is a choice. As hard as it is to be in the darkest night of the soul, it is a choice because the light is always on. Sort of like that old we have a hotel system here in the States. It's called Red Roof Inn. And the guy who owned it years ago used to say, come home to the Red Roof Inn where the light is always on. And that cracks me up because I think to myself, oh my gosh, that's like saying come home to your heart because the light's always on, right? and the light is always
Yeah.
on. And if we can even sit in the darkness of some of our feelings, our emotions, our triggers, our patterns, and remember that the light is always on. If you can just hold that, it allows you,
Yeah.
as hard as it is, to move through those emotions. And you said
Yeah.
it, the key is to move through them. It's not to ignore them, it's not to pretend they're not there, it's not to pretend they haven't had some kind of an impact, but it's not to carry that with you like it's some kind of badge of honor or some kind of armor shield for the rest of your days. Is to say, yeah, all right, this was hard, this is the thing that bugs me, that activates me, that amplifies this emotion in me, and I see it, I'm aware of it, I recognize it, but I now know that I have the choice to stay in it or not stay in it, to hold on to it or release it kindly and say thank you for being there when I needed that. Because truth is, all of these behaviors that we have engaged in, that have been conditioned into us, about be the perfect wife or be the best friend or be this or be that, those have served a very valid place at a point in time in our life. But the question becomes, as you move forward, do you need to carry that? Do you need to hold that pattern? Is it doing for you now what it did for you then? Was it serving to help you survive then, but it's not helping you to thrive now? And that
Yeah.
gives you options and choices. So let me ask you
Yes. And
this.
you know what? It can be
Yeah.
ugly. It's so
Yeah.
ugly. And I want to just reiterate too, before you ask me that next question,
Mm,
is as someone who professionally beats herself up, right? When we all do it, sometimes we realize more than others what we're thinking over what we're feeling. I'm a feeler. So I will definitely recognize the deep shame or the guilt sooner than I will realize the pattern of thinking. But sometimes in those ugly decisions, when we are in a state where we aren't able to see clearly and we're not able to make right decisions, we all do it. And that's what I want to say too. Because I can see people going, well, I've made some really bad decisions in those moments. I didn't get to sit in it. I didn't choose to the right decisions. And that's okay. Neither did I. There's some things that I can look back and go, wow, yeah, out of brokenness, those decisions weren't in my best interest. Those thought patterns weren't in my best interest. Those emotions weren't in my best interest. And that's where that gentleness piece comes in, of self-compassion and self-love. And we'll talk a little bit about that ruthless piece because that's really vital. But what was your
absolutely.
question?
Absolutely. These are so good. These are just so good. And anybody who's listening, I'm actually trying to stay with like a series of good questions here, because Carla and I have a tendency to go totally off the rails, and like a squirrel, we're like down some hole or up some tree talking about who knows what. So I told her, I said, all right, when you come on, we're going to stick to a plan, okay? And here we are, we're like not really sticking to the plan, but that doesn't matter. We're pretty
But you
close.
know
We're
what?
pretty
The
darn
good thing, we
close.
always come back.
I
We
know,
always come back
we
and
do.
end up with these amazing epiphanies. It just takes us a little longer sometimes.
Yeah, and that's all right. That's okay. So tell me, if your Carla now could go back to your Carla then and offer her
Mm.
something to help her hold on until she could get to the next place, what would Carla now tell Carla then?
So Carla now would definitely let her know that stepping into the hard isn't as scary as you think. I love the quote from Maya Angelou. Every storm runs out of rain. And you might feel, oh, I get really emotional about it. Because you might feel like everything is drowning you. And the rain is pummeling. And the storm is wild. And there's wind and there's thunder and there's lightning. And every just thing feels like you cannot get through it. And that's what I would say, is that you can. There is a resilience built in human beings, not by accident. So hard conversations can be had. Hard experiences can be learned from. And the biggest thing, as I would always say, is trust yourself. Trust yourself, because I would say to myself, because my girl, you are brilliant. And God does not make junk. And that's from my mentor. So that's a beautiful human that existed in my life for a short time. She has since passed. We're not garbage. So we know what we need within ourselves. We know what we need. We just don't listen. Don't trust. We disregard. We allow ego and doubt to come in and wreak their havoc in an illusion that they are protective. When in doubt, we know that within right mind and when we are one within ourselves as a whole human, we can trust exactly what we need to know and what we need to do. And that's the work I do with my coaching side, is helping women do that.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And I love that your mentor said, God doesn't make junk. I love this, because the other phrase that rings true for me, thank God there are so many, thankfully, there are so many amazing mentors out there. It's just a question of finding the one that best speaks to what you hear the best. It's sort of like you can have the same thing said 20 different languages, but you're only going to hear the one that speaks to you. And just as your friend says, God doesn't make junk, Kathy Heller says, we are all pieces of the masterpiece. God has created the masterpiece, and we as humans, souls in human bodies, we are all pieces of the masterpiece, which I think she then also borrowed from someone else. But it doesn't, as long as we give credit where credit is due. So I'm not sure who actually said the original, whether it was Kathy or somebody else, but credit to everybody. The concept is there. What's behind the words is the concept of, we were put here quite intentionally. Our souls chose our bodies quite intentionally, because we are all coded with very, very specific gifts, with the ultimate unified purpose of stepping forward in love, stepping forward to bring love to and with humanity, the collective, because the reality is we are all one. We all came from love. We will all return to love. Therefore, we are all love. And it's not like one person gets a little more than the next. Everybody has equal capacity, and free will and choice in your expressions and experiences as a human on this earth will sort of create how that shows up, so that it may seem like somebody has more or less than you, when in reality, we all contain the same capacity. Yes, conditioning and upbringing and societal programming and all the things may shift and change the presentation of that, but at the core of it, we are all placed here with that capacity as pieces of the masterpiece. Because we know junk. Because we not junk.
Yeah. We not junk.
We not
exactly.
junk.
And I think I changed the way I said this from an empowering perspective versus one that was like, with a slight question. And I mean, this is the power of emotion, right? We understand this as EFT practitioners. Finding the right emotion that resonates with the body when we are dealing with something that is a belief system is so important, right? And now I can truly say, and this is where freedom is. And I don't say it from a mild, meek perspective, but I say it with an empowering, firm, confident space, which took me years. But nobody gets to tell me how I think and feel. Not any circumstance, not any conversation, nothing. Like, how empowering is that? When you can sit back and go, nobody can tell me how I think or feel. That is mine to own. That is my freedom. That is my choice.
Absolutely.
Because as we know, and this is where InBloom Beauty became a thing, from a beautiful card. I don't know what you would call it, like an affirmation card, like that, the ever unfolding rose. When cracked open, life happens for you, not to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Came in creation from that card. And actually, there was 3 cards. I had gone to these networking events because when I started, I was always an employee with my hairstyling business. So then I thought, oh, I'm gonna, venture out in the entrepreneurial world. So I started doing a little bit of Arbonne, and Arbonne fit really beautifully with what I believed in my own body when it came to being healthy living, taking care of skin, taking care of body with what you put in, working out a little more, and doing all those kind of things. I actually ended up losing about 70 pounds after, had a little baby, couple babies, and thought, I got to deal with this whole thing. I wasn't feeling very good about myself, and my energy levels were low. I went to a couple networking things because that's what you do as an entrepreneur. And the 2 events that I went to, they were offering these Danielle Laporte affirmation cards and then these tarot affirmation cards. So I was like, and they just said, of course, pick the card. It will resonate. You'll understand it. So this is like 6 years ago now. So went to these things, picked up these 3 cards out of these 2 events. The first one was ruthless compassion. And I was like, what? I understand the words, but I don't get it. I don't know what you're actually like. How am I supposed to add this to my life? So did nothing, taped it into my journal and left it. The next one I went to, she had 2 cards. She had one of these Danielle Laporte cards, and the other one was the InBloom Beauty, the ever unfolding rose. And it's this beautiful, beautiful picture of a woman with a flower behind it, and her arms are open, and it's just like cracked open, beautiful, open to expansion. So, and the other card was suspend your preferences. They may not be working for you. And I was like, okay, I get that too, but I'm not sure how that applies. Now, fast forward, I ended up doing a course in thinking into results. It's through Bob Proctor organization, Proctor Gallagher. And it's a very left way of thinking, left brain, like a very masculine energy, very much like, here are very practical things you can do to change a mindset. Here's how you create awareness. Here's all those things. Love it. It was great. So the suspend your preferences came a very big reality in that moment, because I was like, oh, suspend my defaults. What are my default behaviors, thoughts, actions that are creating an outside world that I maybe want or don't want? So that became very clear to me what that card meant. I've got 2 cards out of 3. And I left the third one. I still was really struggling with it. And then I ended up starting in this beautiful program that some friend of mine led me to called Whole Wellness Psychology.
What a nice friend.
Might be, what a nice friend.
What a good friend.
And the power of this program, right? Who ended up mentoring me in it. Again, this lovely, wise woman.
Man, she must be some friend.
She's pretty amazing. Pretty sure her name's Miel.
Okay, she's calling me out, guys. She's calling me out.
I'm calling her out because you know what, you guys, if you haven't already figured out how incredible this human is that we get to listen to and receive words of wisdom, yes, count your blessings, because we are very blessed to have the likes of a Miel Fox in our lives.
And Carla is not being compensated for this guest interview, just clarifying.
Oh,
thank you, my friend. You are far too kind. You're so
and just being who you are, my friend, just being in who you are, and I'm so blessed. But this program was so game changing, and that was, I think, the first words out of your mouth is, I have not experienced healing at this level. And so I dove in, took the course myself, and then became a whole wellness coach. So now fast forward to a month ago, and I'm about to launch my first Break Free Mind group out of this coaching that Miel and I have been walking through for the last year. And I'm laying in bed. And every morning, Miel, I love to wake up and I ask, you can ask whoever it is, God, universe, creator, who am I show me who I need to be today. Show me what I need to know. Show me where I'm going. And I've added this last one. Show me how to love. Love comes from right mind. Fear is something I no longer want to be driven by. And in that moment, I was reminded of a story of when my children were 3 and 5. My daughter was 5, and we were downtown at a sidewalk sale. All the little businesses downtown Saskatoon put everything out on tables, and you can walk around, and everything's are good deals. So Sophia, very feisty. She's an Aries. Whew. And she wanted to wear these flip-flops, and they were sparkly. And I said to her, you know what, kid, like, we're going to be walking a lot. I'm not going to be carrying you. And we had this little argument, but she insisted on wearing them. So now we fast forward, we're crossing a very busy street, and I look over to my right, and in the right lane, so closest to the sidewalk, my ex-husband and my son are head on already on the sidewalk. And I look at this station wagon, and it was so cliche, Miel. I even feel bad for even saying how judgmental I was in that moment, because I saw this like old station wagon with panel boards, and it's ding 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 ding, and it's humming, and it's got rust, and in it is
I
sort
had
of like
one of those.
Okay, did you also have the wife beater
No.
on? Because like this dude, it was so stereotypical. He had a wife beater, he had slimy hair, he's smoking out the window. And I remember thinking, because we didn't have phones back then, like we didn't have like our iPhones, and I thought, dang, that is so cliche. What am I witnessing right now? Right? And I'm laughing kind of to myself. Well, lo and behold, right in front of his car, Sophia loses her shoe. And so now I'm irate. I'm like, get that shoe on. What is wrong with you? Oh my gosh, I've told you the light's going to change. You need to get this shoe on. Well, in that moment, as her little head is bending down to get her shoe, and she's panicking now. So I've created this awareness in her that we are potentially in danger. He decides to rev his engine. And it kind of caused the car to jerk a little bit, right? Because he's got his foot on the brake, and he revs his engine, attempting to scare us. You guys, I'm just going to be clear right now. You don't need to be a mom to understand this, but I don't even remember the next 30 seconds. I throw her to the curb, which was, let's be realistic, about 2 feet. And the next 30 seconds, all I know is that I am beating the shit out of this car. I am kicking the tires. I'm punching the hood. I'm hitting the glass. I am screaming at the top of my lungs. Now imagine, now you guys don't know what I look like, but I am Portuguese. So we're adding this now to the craziness of this whole event. My husband at the time, he's like, what is happening? What is going on? My wife is like losing her. People have stopped, and I am wild without abandon. It is insane. I end up finding myself in the middle of the intersection because I chased that car into the middle of the intersection. And it was in that memory, I'm laying in bed, and I haven't started my group yet. I didn't even have a full group at the time. And it was very clear to me what ruthless compassion is. Because like I've said, we don't need to be a mom in this environment to understand that if you're hiking, you're walking, and you see a mom bear and her cubs, you ain't sticking around. You're not going to stick around for tea, right? Because you know the impact of what that will be for you should you stay. Because her position is ultimate protection. It's that like honing in. And that's exactly what I experienced that day. Except the message for all of you today is ruthless compassion looks like that honing in on loving yourself from that mama bear perspective, without abandon, without worrying about external judgment, without and being brave in it to do it. That's ruthless compassion.
You are the perfect mama bear to bring this forward for your clients. So for lots of reasons. So, you know, I am a little biased. I must say I am a little biased. I adore you. You are Mama Bear. But here is something you said earlier, and I'll bring back now, is you said you're a very feeling person, which is the truth. You instantly feel emotion directly into your body prior to even thinking what is the thought that comes through. I am the opposite. I am in my head before I show up in my body. But that deep, deep, deep protective love drive that is there. And I do not have children, but if somebody so much as says the wrong thing, kind of like don't talk bad about my, and fill in the blank, like don't talk bad about my dog or my horses, that kind of thing. Some people say don't talk bad about my dog or my mama or whatever. That deep, 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 strong, fierce, non-negotiable love and protectiveness and compassion of what you love, what is vital and important, is that's what makes people lift cars. When somebody says, oh, my toddler got stuck under the car and I lifted the car and pulled her out, it's that. And so when you say that is the degree and the quality and the expression within ourselves to tap back into our truth, our soul, our heart, what we're here for, you are an amazing soul to bring that forward for clients, because that is you and it comes through you and it is so powerful for you and you feel it so clearly that I'm just so excited for you that you have brought your skill level up a bajillion notches so that you can bring it forward for others. I love to say, oh, I feel like I get on here and I share my message and I may not be able to help 8 billion people, but I can probably help to change one heart at a time. And that's sort of like I feel like I kind of own that phrase for myself, because I do feel like, oh, I can help shift something for somebody one heart at a time. And when you and I talk, I'm like, yeah, I think that and I talk about that, but my God, Carla actually does it. Like she totally does it. So I love that about you. So if you had one or two takeaways other than the 3 bombs you've already dropped about radical compassion and the unfolding rose, and life happens for you, not to you. If you did have anything else you wanted to add for the listeners from your experiences and from your personal transformation, what might that be and what could you share with us?
Oh man, I feel like there's so much I could say, honestly. And as you well know, we could be here all day. I think I would just repeat and come back to again is that inner trust piece. And the reason I say it again and again and again is because we all tend to judge ourselves so harshly. And being able to become an observer is a really beautiful gift you can give yourself of those thoughts, those emotions, the actions, the things that are said to us, the experiences we experience. And becoming an observer of those things is kind of where the magic is. Because in that turn, we can then decide the course of action we want to actually go in. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like the awareness of the thing, where do you feel it in your body? Do you think it in your mind? Where is it landing for you is step 1. And then understanding that you now have the option to take an inspired action step for sure is step 2, knowing that you have free will and choice, and giving yourself what I really reiterate a lot when I do these guest episodes is perhaps we should consider treating ourselves with the same level of mama bear love and compassion that we share for other people we love, for other things we love, animals, people, whatever the situation may be, and take that same caliber of care and compassion and show that to ourselves. And so I think your business of combining all of your skills, your coaching, your hairstylist, therapeutic interventions that you hold for your clients on a regular basis, the EFT tapping, the InBloom company product line, all of it. I think that it is an integration of very significant, important, and relative components that help to contribute to the whole wellness. And you're really addressing all the areas, the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, all of it.
Yes.
And it's really beautiful.
And just reiterated. Thank you.
Absolutely.
You just reiterated. I was going to say, we need the balance. We can't, we can do all the mind thinking, we can do all the heart thinking, we can do just the physical thinking, but it is a combination of putting it all together: heart, mind, body, and bringing that body to the party. That's a really big one. We need to bring the body to the party. It's the most neglected. Most people don't recognize that the body gives us information. So
absolutely. And I think the other piece, of course, is that I strongly, strongly, strongly believe that we are a soul presence residing and using and living in this human body experience in this particular lifetime. So to pretend that the physical body is a disconnect from all the other essences that we are, our soul, our heart space, our higher self, it is residing in this body. So to ignore the messages and the needs of the body as if it were separate, I think is a disservice to ourselves. And so I love that you mentioned that and then you bring that forward. So tell me, as we wrap up, where do we find you? I know where to find you, but where does everybody else find you?
Well, I am primarily on Instagram under Carla_Sardinha_Unger. And I'm on Facebook as well. And of course, my account's linked to my Facebook page, so it's very easy to find me there.
Beautiful.
And yeah, it's just Carla Sardinha Unger.
And tell us the name of your business group again.
InBloom Beauty Company, yes. And under that flagship, Ruthless Compassion Project is being born. So
beautiful. And I love that you say is being born, because I also know you're very fascinated and interested in what does it mean? What does it mean this month with the numbers? So for those of you who don't know, as an advanced numerologist, Carla has a direct line to me and she will send me messages like, okay, I have this new project I'm thinking of. Is this actually a good time for me to do this? And I will pull up all of her numerology and combine it with a universal energy reading and say, Carla, this is a great time for you to birth a new project. And it's going into a new year of flow, ease, momentum, movement, possibility, all of it. So what a beautiful time to be birthing a new project, Radical Compassion. I love this. Love it. Yay.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much for having me.
My
all
pleasure.
Your beautiful listeners.
So fun, right?
Yes, it was. It was so fun.
It is so fun. So with that, I'll jump us off of here and we'll put this up. I put all of your contacts in the show notes so that people can find you and see how they can get in touch with you and follow you.
Okay.